ready to go. And thankfully we've got enough petrol money now to get home, so that's great. Thanks very much for, I hope you enjoy the CDs, and there's still a few left for later on. Stuck in neutral. I got my brain stuck in neutral every day. Feels the same. Efforts to change are somewhat futile, so I play a waiting game. All forward motion has been suspended, and the brakes firmly applied. The old timetable has been amended. No forward movement on this line. I'm driving fast, but getting nowhere. Speeding past the same old signs. I'm rubbing shoulders with the same old faces. I'm drinking too much of the same cheap wine. Sun comes up, sun goes down. A burning wind blows the dust around. I can't remember the last time it rained, and this dry spell has been sustained. I'm driving fast, but getting nowhere. Speeding past the same old signs. I'm rubbing shoulders with the same old faces, and drinking too much of that old cheap wine. I'm drinking too much of the same cheap wine. Yes, I'm drinking too much of that old cheap wine. Well, way back in another world, I was working at the tax office. I came home from Melbourne to live back in Australia, in Adelaide, and in those days when you applied for the dole, you had to sit a test for the public service. So all I ever did was work in factories and foundries and stuff, so I never worked in an office. But anyway, unbelievably, I got a message saying, Don, you've passed the test, you can come and work in the tax office. So I did, I went there, and eventually, after quite a few years, I rose from one rank from the bottom, and I used to answer your questions about how to fill in the tax pack. And so I hope if you ever got the, when you rang up to get some advice, you got the answer, Australian Tax Office, this is Don, that you took no notice of what I told you. But anyway, I used to share a cell there with a bloke called John Kelly, and every morning he would come in and rip a page off his big fat 3-year calendar, and then he would say 890 to go, and he was counting to his retirement. I got out of there before John, and I wrote this song called John Kelly's Calendar. John Kelly has a calendar and he's marked out all the days. 797 until his retirement day. The office has a window, I watch the girls go by. I see the buses grinding on, I catch a glimpse of blue sky. Once between the buildings I saw a daylight moon, but I was brought back to earth all too soon by another pointless meeting or one more stupid call. Some big shot down from Sydney supposed to motivate us all. And they sometimes ask me, why do I stay? I ask myself that question every single day. Sometimes we talk about it, John Kelly and I dream up ways to walk out and not even say goodbye. Maybe I could turn feral and grow veggies in the hills, or buy up some sort of franchise for my lawn mowing skills. And they sometimes ask me, why do I stay? I ask myself that question every single day. But I've got my reasons, like a year's got its seasons. A man has to do what a man's supposed to do. But I wonder what would happen if I believed I could fly. Would I take to the wing of compression down and asleep, I heard the devil call my name. He said, Don boy, come on down. It's time I state my claim. Well, I cried, and I cried out loud. I regret what I have done. But the devil, he just laughed. He said, Don, you had your fun. Heard the devil call my name. Call my name. the devil call my name. I cried, Lord, help me now. But he just turned the other cheek. He said, I can't help you now. You got your destiny to face. Heard the devil call my name. I heard the devil call my name. Now I feel like I'm burning up inside. I got nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. I said to the devil, mate, how would you feel? Maybe we could get together and do some sort of deal. He said, I've been burned by that crap before. I don't do that crossroad shit anymore. The timing is almost impeccable for this song because it was on Christmas Day quite a few years ago now. Been out beautiful Christmas lunch with my family, and about 5 o'clock I'm coming home and I have to go down Grand Junction Road to get to Rosewater where I was living, and on the corner of the street next to mine there was a street girl plying her trade at about 5 o'clock on Christmas afternoon. So I thought, wow, what a life, you know. And when I was home, I sort of sorted out a song called Grand Junction Road. It runs alongside the city, past all the things they don't want you to see, and then goes to all the places that you don't want to be. It's the home of the high-vis shirt and the clapped-out Commodore, of smokes hanging out the window and one eye out for the law. There's no prestigious location, no desirable postcode. There's nothing up and coming on Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. At the IGA, near Addison Road, they do their best to keep it clean, well stocked and in straight rows, but in the car park there's a deal going down between young men so far gone they're barely human. And on the corner there's a girl so stoned she can hardly stand, when just a mile or two down a kiss. Late night pokies for the barely missed. Truckloads of crap for the Wingfield dip. It's a place you go to make a living. It's not the place you want to live in. You won't find nothing to ease your load. Driving down Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. My father worked in a factory there, just down from the prison. Sometimes 6 days a week, but most often 7. And I wonder what he thought about all those years he drove, first thing every morning down Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. Thanks very much. Now, I think most of you have probably heard this story before, but in the interest of balance, we're going to go from Grand Junction Road across to Kensington Road. And as far as I know, there's only 2 songs ever written that mention Kensington Road. There's the one I'm going to do for you, we're going to do for you in a minute, and the one that Paul Kelly wrote. Kensington Road runs for miles without turning, you know. And the comparisons between myself and Paul are stark, actually. We were born on the same day. We both barracked for Nord. We're all from big Catholic families, but he, of course, had 9 siblings and I only had 7. We went to Catholic colleges. I went down to Morrison Brothers there, because that was the cheapest. And he went up to Rostrevor, the most expensive. Both moved to Melbourne about the same time. He sold hundreds of thousands of records and I've sold hundreds. So you can barely split us, you know, except for the fact that the only thing I've got on Paul Kelly is that I don't have to wear a hat when I play. So. But there's another story I've sort of tried to verify recently, and nobody can remember anyway now, so I'll tell you. When our band, the Bodgies, first moved to Melbourne, we used to sometimes rehearse in a set of recording studios called Richmond Recorders, and they had about 3 or 4 different rooms where 3 or 4 different bands would record. And the manager of the recording studios, the rehearsal studios, was a friend of Molly Meldrum's, and he heard us practicing. So he rings up Molly and says, "Molly, you got to get down here and listen to these blokes from Adelaide. They're great." So Molly Meldrum just lived around the corner in Richmond, and he came down and opened the first door he saw, and he said to the band there, "Are you the blokes from Adelaide?" And Paul Kelly said, "Yeah." So the next thing you know, he's on Countdown, and we're playing in the Mounds Arena in Sydney at 5 o'clock in the morning. Anyway. Oh, I've written all about that. Stories very similar in a biography I've got there called "This Could Be Big, 40 Years at the Dag End of the Australian Music Industry." So if you don't want to buy the new CD, come and buy a copy of the book. And it's been reviewed as mankind's greatest achievement to date. Kensington Road, you'll end up on a hill. You can look out all over from there, where it's quiet and it's still. Well, there must be a million people down there, all lined up in straight rows. And you wonder what the plan is from the end of Kensington Road. Well, there must be people dying. There must be people making love. There must be people crying out for help from their God above. Is it a town or is it a city? Depends on who you're talking to. But for me it's just a place where people are living, and they do what they gotta do. Well, you can hear the hum of the traffic, watch the jet planes come and go. You can see the ships out on the bay from the end of Kensington Road. Well, there must be people laughing, little kids on their first days at school. There must be parents working out how to pass on the golden rule. Some people down there are living their dream. Some are dreaming their lives away. Some are living for tomorrow. Some just getting through the day. And it makes me wonder. Yes, I wonder. Oh, I wonder why. Well, I wonder. Yes, I wonder. Well, I wonder why. Well, I was talking about, I was living in Melbourne after with the Bodgies. We got too big for Adelaide. And we went over there and I got a little flat in St Kilda. And St Kilda in those days was like the Laurel Canyon of the Australian music scene. You know, there was musicians all over the place. Like just up the road there was James Black, Rock Quiz and Mondo Rock, and Steve Cummings from the Sports lived up the road a bit. Renee Gayer was there. A great bass player Paul Ziesing was around the corner, and he's here tonight, so we mentioned him. The bloke from the Models was around the corner a bit. Paul Kelly was up the road. And the other thing about St Kilda was, and this was probably attractive to a lot of the aforementioned that were living there, there were a lot of drugs in St Kilda. It was the headquarters of, Fitzroy Street, where you got your fix. And after a while, my musical career was going so well that I started delivering groceries in my van. And getting around there, you saw a lot of crazy things. And this is a true story that happened to me on one day when I was doing my deliveries. I turned my van into Hotham Street to make the same delivery on the same day of the week. I pulled up at the flats of number 5 and I heard a cry I remember all my life. Help me, she cried. I think my friend ambulance men arrived a few minutes later. They took one look at his arm. One of the ambos looked up, sadly shook his head. He said, "Sorry boy, but this one is dead." I went back to those flats the next week and spoke with the caretaker about the boy who she said had gone to meet his maker. She said his brothers came down from the country the other day and cleared all his things away. They put all he owned in the boot of a car. Then they drove away. Help me, she cried. I think my friend has died. Help me, she cried. I think my friend has died. Help me, she cried. My friend has died. Help me, she cried. My friend has died. Get the right harmonica. So you do the solo in the middle and I play the hay planes. Hopefully this will work out. Jake's not. We'll be right. That's in D. I'll play it first, and you'll know it. I drove all the way to Sydney in the middle of the night. When I went through Penrith, it started getting light. In that narrow street in Newtown, outside that front door, finally got through to me. I couldn't do this anymore. So I turned around and drove back from where I came, fighting with the sun on that wide empty plain. With the hay plane blues, just drive on through. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. That was years and years ago. I tried not to think about it much. There are a lot of good reasons to fall out of touch. But I just got a call, so I'm going back again. This time I'm driving to farewell an old friend. With the hay plane blues, just drive on through. Don't look back. A lot of sky to see, an eagle drifting way up in the air,
Swap guitars.
Now, as I mentioned before, I've written a biography called This Could Be Big, 40 Years at the Dag End of the Australian Music Industry. And sometimes I'm asked to sum it up in a few words, so I just say 5 men in a car. Because a lot of it relates to when I was in the Bodgies, and we would do things like go over to Melbourne from Adelaide, and we even played in Bordertown, believe it or not, and play 7 nights a week for 2 weeks in Melbourne, then travel up to Sydney, do 7 nights a week for 2 weeks there, come back playing at all various different places, and you know, we do things like finish at the Mansell Room at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then hop in the van and drive back down to Melbourne for a gig the next night. So, you know, been around a bit, and like I said, yeah, I sum it up by saying 5 men in a car. 5 men in a car, not sure where we are, but we're going somewhere. We'll get there. It's 4 a.m. and we're still hours away. There's only trucks and us on this giant highway. 5 men in a car. 5 men in a car. Towns go by, they're just names. Refueling stops on our road to fame. We've been here before, maybe. Now I'm not sure, but it looks the same as the place before. Now it's my turn to drive. It's my turn to drive. On and on. On and on, on and the oil light comes on outside Nundroo. If we break down out here, not sure what we'll do. Roadhouse food and near Gundagai, could be Horsham or Hay, Lismore or Yass or Narrabri. Hey, I should point out too that one of the 5 men in the car is here tonight. Nigel Sweeting, the bass player for the second part of the Bodgies. He's here. Probably came along just to hear that song, didn't you? If I could fly away, I'd try today. There's not much here to lose. I still got 3 chords and the truth, so I'll fly away, fly away. Don't ask me why, it's too hard to say. I look to the sky, single day. I still sing the blues. Ain't that the truth? So I'll fly away, fly away. If I could fly away, I'd try today. Don't ask me why, to the sky every single day. If I could fly away. Well, my day job for many years has been making these guitars, and this one here that I'm playing now is made from my mother's house when my mother was brought up in Broken Hill. And I went back there a while back, and it's all run down, so I grabbed a sheet of tin out of the shed where my pop used to work, and some skirting boards had fallen out, so I grabbed them, and foundation stump was falling out, and I used that for the headstock veneer and the fretboard. So I didn't care how it was going to sound or turn out. I was just going to keep it, you know. But it sounds great, so I use it every gig I do. And the other one I use is made from old pile of rubble in a place called Perponda, which is out in the Mallee. And that's where my dad's lived for quite a number of years, and used to talk about it a lot. And I went back there a while back, and there was just a pile of rubble. So again, I grabbed a sheet of tin, and the neck's made out of a fence post on the railway line that doesn't exist anymore. And that one works good. And so poking around all those old houses looking for old, bits of tin and that, it's very sort of, emotional maybe, but this is a song that popped into my head while I was doing it. One day I'll be rusting, possums in the roof, pigeons in the kitchen, floorboards coming loose. The porch out the front has long since blown away. There was nothing there to shelter anyway. One day the old dog's grave will be erased by time, replaced by a fading keep out sign. Old sheets of iron lying on the ground, sheds and shelters falling down. But once there was a garden with fruit on the vine. There was a band on the veranda with dancing and wine. Once there was a wedding out on the back lawn, and once a little child was born. I've been renovated, I've been bought and sold, I've been advertised as charming, an investment one could hold. A renovator's dream, then land value only. Now, no one seems to own me. But once there was a swing set, kites flying in the breeze. Once there were little children climbing in the trees. I've seen 1,000 goals kicked and many overs bowled, but now I'm just old. One day I'll be empty, standing all alone. Anyone that knew me, long since dead or gone. One day I'll be leaning, wind howling through the door. No one knows my story anymore. Well, I was going past, it used to be called the Catacombs Club at Hackney there. I think it's called Romilly House or something. And they're actually restoring it now. Sort of looks like it. So that brought back a few memories. And my first girlfriend, when I went up to Nord High, there was girls in the class, Morris brothers. We were just all animals. But anyway, after a little while, I had a short and innocent affair with a girl called Hillary. And, we used to hold hands. And the reason the Catacombs Club sprung to mind was because we went down there and I saw my first live music ever there and had my first kiss. And the manager of the Catacombs Club was a really straight bloke. He came over and threatened to kick us out if we kissed again. So anyway, that was a good way to start. But it didn't last long, the affair. We were just in fourth year. But years later, I thought, as you can do these days, I wonder what happened to Hillary. So I Googled her name. And it turns out she's a mathematical professor at the Australian National University and was famous for coming up with a very complex scientific theory that only a dozen people in the world could understand. And I knew she knew all about that stuff because I explained it to her in fourth year. But anyway, the sad part of the story was that the reason I could find out so much about Hillary was that it was an obituary. She died sometime before. And the obituary said that she had 2 children. And so I wrote this song called Note to Hillary's Kids. I don't know where you are, I don't even know your names, but I know you're out there somewhere, so I'll write this just the same. I trust this finds you well, I hope life's treating you okay. I know this comes out of the blue, but there's something I'd like to say. I just found out your mother died quite a while ago. Nobody told me, there's no reason I should know. But you see, I knew your mother in my last year at school. She was in the brainy class and I was a sporting fool. She took a shine to me, I've got no idea why. She was the first girl I ever kissed and the last to make me cry. I called her mine, it didn't last very long. She let me down gently, said it was time to move along. Well, I never went back to school, and then she moved away. I heard her name mentioned now and then, till I found out yesterday. You know, I still have a letter your mother wrote to me, and it takes me straight back to that summer and love's mysteries. I'd like to let you know, but I'm not sure where to start, that a little piece of Hillary lives on in my heart. Well, when the Raging Thirst are doing our sold-out stadium tours of California and Europe and things, yeah, people often ask us, you know, what's the music scene like in Adelaide? When they find out we're from Adelaide. So rather than bother with, talking to them about it, I wrote a song about what would have happened to Bob Dylan if he was born in Adelaide. Bob Dylan was born in Adelaide in 1941. He went to Unley High School, but he never got along. Not exactly unpopular, just a little strange sometimes. He excelled in English and liked to talk in funny rhymes. Once he wrote a song, something about blowing in the wind. Then he went to Teachers College and didn't play much again. Well, Bob met Mary Lennon at a protest rally. They bought a brick veneer down near Happy Valley. Bob got a job teaching poetry to teenage Catholic boys. He was ideal for the job, immune to the smell and noise. Mary thought Bob's voice was awful and encouraged him not to sing. She said, "Bob, take up photography. Music's not your thing." Well, Mary Lennon's brother lived in Maylands. His name was John. He was a bitter, twisted cynic, and they never got along. He drunk himself to death, working in the public service. Bob and Mary were alone at the funeral service till it was nearly time to go, when three blokes showed up and introduced themselves as George, Paul and Ringo. Well, after 40 years of teaching, Bob finally called time. The staff took up a collection and bought him some fine wine. Now the Dylans are grey nomads, off to see Australia. Bob threw his old guitar in the back of the camper trailer. And one night around the campfire, after a lot of rearranging, Bob calls, "Hey Mary, listen to this. It's called The Times They Are A-Changing." Mary said, "Shut up, Bob, and get in the van." I think we'll get happy birthday, miss. Okay. I was going to do the up-tempo version, but okay, sorry. At Malone. Okay, now a lot of you probably heard this story too, but I've got to tell it to describe the song properly. This will be our last song too. Thanks very much for coming along. It's been great to see a good crowd here. Yeah. But I just turned 20, actually. I used to work... Oh, no, shit. I know I look like I'm talking about today, don't I? But not. But way back when I just turned 20, and I was at the time I was working in a foundry next to the McGill Club up there. And so I'm really thrilled to be able to, in February we were playing at the McGill Club, so keep your eye out for that. But I used to work in factories and foundries, and I didn't drink much, didn't have a car, I just had a motorbike. And then I started working in building sites, and they were the best paid jobs you can get in those days. And so I accumulated quite a bit of money for a young fella. And the older sister of my girlfriend at the time said, "Don, you should go to Europe and do the backpacker thing, go to Earl's Court and all that." And looking back now, it's clear that they wanted to get rid of me. But anyway, I thought that was a good idea. So I had no plan, no nothing. Oh, I'm going to Europe and I'm going to buy a motorbike, in London. So I got to London and it was in January, and nobody in our family had ever been to Europe before, so I didn't know how cold it was there, it was freezing cold. And luckily Mum knitted me a thick jumper. But I went up to this motorcycle dealer's and I bought a BSA A65. That's what the cops used to drive here in those days. And I said to the bloke, "Is this registered and insured?" And he said, "Oh, we don't have that shit here, mate." So I rode all over Europe, on an unregistered, uninsured and unroadworthy motorcycle. So I eventually came up with a plan of riding around England. And I'm really glad to say I went to Stonehenge, and I was able to just lean on the stones and walk around and feel them and all that. Now you're not allowed to get close to them, but anyway, I went to all those places in England. Then I was going to ride across Europe, down through Asia, and get on a boat back to Australia and do it that way. But like I said, I didn't know how cold it was going to be in Europe at the time. I was getting pretty sick of riding my motorbike, and I'm going down this autobahn in Hanover, near Germany, and all the trucks are going past at 100 miles an hour, and my bike stuck in first gear. And I probably could have fixed it, but when I pulled over to the emergency lane, I got the tools out in my helmet, and the trucks just blew them down the road. I nearly got killed trying to get them back. And so I rode the bike in first gear to a youth hostel in Hanover. And luckily there was a fella there who was interested in the BSA. "Oh, I'll be on a bike." That's what it sounded like to me anyway. And so I sold it to him for 50 drachmas. And I thought, great, now I can catch the bus and meet people and be a proper backpacker. So I went down to the nearest bar I could find in Hanover, and it was a snaps bar full of all old farts, and even older than we are here, today. And went to try and pay for my beer with my drachmas. And it turns out drachmas, of course, is Greek money, not German money. So I was a bit stuffed then. And luckily, an old fella took pity on me and paid for my beer. And then years later, you know, when I became a world-famous singer-songwriter, that memory seeped into my brain, and I wrote a song called Pat Malone. I was traveling in a foreign town when a stranger flagged me down. I was lost and far from home when I first met Pat Malone. After a while, we went our separate ways, and for many years he disappeared, never leaving a trace. Then in a crowded bar, I was drinking alone. He said, "Remember me, I'm Pat Malone." He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's just the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. I've known him now for many years, and we have shared 1,000 beers, but I could not call him a friend. He's just someone I see now and then. He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. So chill. That's just the way it is when he's here. But when the night are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. When the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. Thank you. Now, big hand for Jake Morrison on the guitar. Eddie Morrison on the bass. And Andy Brzgonski on the drums.
Folks, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, prettier than a flower. He eats steaks, he lifts barbell plates, he's sweeter than a German chocolate cake. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold, Mr. Don Morrison!
That's right. Well, I woke up as the sun came up on the railway side of town. I took a swig from my old brown paper bag. It warmed my bones as it went down. So I finished up the rest of that bottle to get my heart started for the day. And as I rolled away my old newspaper, I saw the date, said the 4th of May, and I said to myself, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. Well, when I was just a little boy, I blew out all of my candles. But I feel 100 years older now, and I'm blown out all my chances. Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. Well, I got a kid somewhere, he must be grown up now. But I wouldn't want him to see how his old man turned out anyhow. 'Cause I'll walk the streets and I sleep on the ground, under the bridge by the river with the newspaper riding down. Well, if I was a dog that